Welcome to Scorched Earth. This is going to be a mid-month reading for the sign of Leo, Sun, Moon and Ascendant. I hope you're feeling all right after that full moon last weekend. Every Leo that I know has been absolutely floored by it, in a way that I don't think any of us were anticipating at all. Yeah, so this is going to be much shorter than the monthlies because it's just kind of like an energetic snapshot. It's just want to see where you are right now, what's coming towards you, and possibly, some advice. See if we can't ease the way a little bit. If you want any information, have a look in the description box because the chances are I probably put it down there already. I think that's all I have to say. So, excuse my death rattle. What's going on? So, I have 3 cards for where Leo is right now, please. 3 cards for Leo. First card is the Empress. I like that. It's Earth energy. For me, it's usually Taurus, but I know some people ascribe it to Libra. 2 more cards for Leo, please. Sure, the Strength card just flipped there, actually. 6 of Wands. That's a card of Leo right there. I like it, obviously. And 1 more card for Leo, please. Where is Leo at right now? 5 of Swords. That's interesting. So, on the bottom of the deck, we've got Queen of Swords. I like the Queen of Swords. And she can be quite harsh. But she's really good at cutting out the bullshit. And I think the full moon in Leo was all about cutting out the bullshit. So I'm not really surprised to see her there. But what we've got here in front of us, start with the Empress. Okay. The Empress is all about fertility and abundance. She's about the creation of new things. She's about birthing new things into the world. And there's been a lot that Leos have been letting go. Just when you thought we literally didn't have anything else to let go, there's more stuff. It just gets uncovered, And that's wicked, because in order to bring new things in, we need to let go of things. We need to push things out that are no longer, any good for us at all. And sometimes we're really good at, in the 3D, turning our back on things and walking away from things and keeping our head up high and pride and all that kind of thing. But energetically, Leos do hang on to stuff because we are, relentlessly loyal, almost to a fault. But I get a real sense of that starting to shift, right? A real understanding, perhaps with this Queen of Swords energy right here, that some things just damage us more in the long run if we keep hold of them. It's a big lesson for us to learn. But when we do that, so we are able to bring beautiful new things into the world, and you're in a very creative phase at the moment, whether that's just in the way that you're living your life, or maybe specifically with work projects and things like that. And we've got the six of Wands. Interestingly, I do not get the impression that this is necessarily how we all feel inside. I think that this, because it's public and because it's conspicuous, I feel like this might be the energy that we are projecting at the moment to cover what's going on inside, because what's going on inside is a bit messy at the moment. We haven't quite got it into the right place in our head. But to an external view, we're doing all right. In an external view, we are really birthing some quite extraordinary things into the world. We're just waiting for our internal space to catch up a little bit. And this is where I think that the 5 of Swords is relevant, right? I don't like this card. I don't like it at all. I don't really like any of the 5s because they're all about change and stuff like that. And I'm a Leo, I don't like change. We're fixed signs. We like, actually, for things to stay relatively the same. The problem is with that is that you don't grow if things stay the same. If you sit in your little, comfort zone, you would never move. And so you have to be made uncomfortable before you finally shift. And this is what this is here. Yeah. Now, being swords, it's words, it's communication, it's thoughts, it's expression of ideas, right? Whether they are to ourselves, our understanding of the world, the way that we speak to ourselves, all that kind of thing, or how we speak to others, external to ourselves, right? Which is where the whole communication thing comes in. But because it's a 5, and because it's talking about communication and stuff like that, it feels like there's a bit of shift. And either the way that we speak, or the way that we've become accustomed to speaking, isn't getting through in the same way anymore, or the way that other people are speaking to us, where once we would have really, used it to validate our energetic clinging to a situation. It's broken, it's shifted, it's in flux. We are no longer comfortable with that. And that's growth, because that means that we're kind of getting to the point where we go, I'm just going to keep away from that now. There's a real sense of this being the change that's going on inside, where this is what we're presenting to the outside world, and this is what we are capable of presenting, as our gift to the world, once we've reconciled these two states. Some more for the 5 of Swords, please. It's the Hanged Man, which is the card of Pisces, and we're literally just about to step into Pisces season, which frankly always leaves me like a smouldering worry, and I just cannot cope with the wateriness of it all. But it's come out under here. And what was I just saying? Old ways of doing things that don't work for us anymore. We're submitting to a new type of understanding of the world. We're shifting our perspective on things. And part of that is how we communicate. And this might be with a particular person, and if it is, you'll probably know who it is. Or it might be more widely, it might be those people that we allow in our energetic sphere, where we're going, this doesn't work now. It's discernment. We're starting to practice more discernment. And rather than feeling like we are being disloyal by moving away from these conflicting not conflicting, these methods of communication that before we would have clung to, it's all changed. What's this? 5 of Swords. 9 of Wands. Yeah. There are lots of different ways of interpreting the 9 of Wands, but for me, the erection of boundaries comes up often with this card, which is usually a chap, and he's looking all fucked up, and he's got a bandage on his head and his arms in a sling, and he's hanging on to this wand. And there's this sense that Leos will just continue on, will soldier on, because we're so strong, with these big wide shoulders, and we'll take these little snippets that people give to us, over and over again. We find strength from somewhere, down in our boots, and we just carry on, we soldier on. But there are all of those wands behind that chap, and now it starts to feel to me like we're putting boundaries in place, and we know our own worth. We are starting to become very aware of what it is that we have to offer the world, and what we have to offer the world is incredible. And we now understand that boundaries don't make us self-indulgent. Boundaries do not make us disloyal. Boundaries do not make, us in any way less loving, I think. because those boundaries allow us to turn around and like redivert that love into us, and that's right and proper, and that's where it should be. Because if it's not, all we're doing is depleting ourselves, I think, is the thing. It's quite deep. I like this. I like this very much. So our inner world will catch up with the outer world. You know, it'll catch up with what we're projecting out very soon. But what you're doing here is really important work, and it will, in the long run, I think it will help far more people than currently what we have been energetically stuck on. No. So don't worry about that. I have 3 cards for what's coming towards Leo, please. Oh. In February. First card that you've got is the 8 of Cups, right? It talks about moving away from things. I'm just going to show you this because it's flipped. It's the card of Aquarius. It's the star, but it hasn't come out. So I'm going to pop it back in there. I dropped those. I'll put those back in there. Interesting, the card that I dropped was the 4 of Pentacles, which talks about clinging too hard to things. 2 more cards for Leo, please. What's coming towards Leo in February? Right, at the bottom of the deck now we've got the Horned one, right, which is the Devil in a standard deck. It talks about toxicity and codependency and those things that bind us through fear, right? We're lions, we're not scared of anything except that we're scared of people thinking that we don't love them, or people thinking that we're disloyal, or even us thinking that about ourselves. You know, that is a real trigger point for a Leo, right? It's more work. We're doing more work on ourselves, and this is really, really important. The 8 of Cups is about moving away from a situation that no longer serves you emotionally, right? And with this card, it's a little easier than it might be if it's indicated by, say, like the 6 of Swords, because lots of care and effort goes into amassing all of these cups, right? You don't just get 8 cups off the bat, yet you have to put the work in to get them. But ultimately, you know, whatever emotional attachment there was to whatever situation these 8 of Cups is supposed to represent right here, it's gone. Yeah? It's just gone. And whether it's gone because you've realised that the treatment that you had at the hands of whoever this, you know, this situation is, or whatever this situation is here, is completely untenable and you are worth more than that. Or whether it's just gone stale, you know. I was talking about energetic attachments, so it's possible that this has already occurred physically, but what we're talking about now is the energetic removal of yourself from this situation. You know, you won't turn your back on things in the 3D, but you take it with you. This dude is not taking it with him. You know, he's got his cloak on, he's got his stick, and he's walking off under the light of the eclipse. You know, it's just the way these cups are stacked. You know, your eye is drawn to the fact that one is missing right here in the middle. And the 9 of Cups is the wish fulfillment. You know, this isn't the wish fulfillment for you. And you're now feeling strong enough to be able to turn away from it. And we've got the 6 of Cups here. Now, the 6 of Cups talks about the past. But for me, it's the soulmate card. And I feel like perhaps this is a soulmate that you either walked away from or they walked away from you. And although they may not have been physically present, you know, in your environment for some time, perhaps you've been holding on to the hope that they will return at some point. Because as a Leo, once you love someone, that's it, they're in, though. You know, you're fucked, you know. don't think it's possible for a Leo to fall out of love with someone. But they can come to the point where they realise that it damages them to stay in that environment. And that's quite sophisticated thinking, I think. What about this Six of Cups? Fuck. That's loads of cards. I'm not taking those. Tell me more about this Six of Cups. Ooh. Seven of Cups. Two of Cups. Yeah, like, I mean, the Six of Cups is a soulmate, right? It's a soul bond of some description for me. Like, other people read it as children, you know, whatever. For me, this is what it is. And this feels like a real major turning point. It's the acknowledgement of a soul connection, and then an acknowledgement that actually you need to move away from that, not just physically, but in all senses, you know, let it go. And what's come out to clarify is the Seven of Cups and the Two of Cups, right? The Seven of Cups is the options card, yeah, but I think there's a little bit more to it than that. You know, you could read that really flatly as saying, you know, you've realised that you have options in love and you have options for different relationships and stuff like that. But, I mean, that's always fucking true. You know, there are 7 billion people on the planet, and even if, you know, 1 in a million is for you, that's pretty good fucking odds. That's a big group of people that you've got to pluck from there. I feel like this is a little bit deeper than that. And it feels like it's an understanding that maybe you fell in love with the potential of what this could be, rather than what it actually turned out to be in the end. You know, because we're overflowing with love, and we can fill the gaps in people. Like, we have that much love, we can do that, but it's not actually healthy for us to do that. You know, there's a fantastical element to the Seven of Cups, by which I mean, you know, of fantasy almost. But this is quite a dark depiction of the Seven of Cups, you know, and we're given to think that you are this little person down here, you know. It was a strong connection. There's absolutely no doubt about that, because it wouldn't have had you the way that it has if it wasn't. But maybe, like everything else, it was a learning experience, you know, because the next card that you've got is Temperance, right? Now, that can be a Sagittarius. Maybe there's a Sagittarius in your midst, but it's about healing, right? It's about healing off the back of change, because it's a 14, which reduces down to a 5. And for me, I always read that as a healing that comes off the back of surviving, you know, adverse circumstances. Excuse me. Learning the lessons, balancing yourself out, you know, and learning to be kind to yourself. And as it sits on my table, it's directly underneath the 5 of Swords. You know? There's a sense here that what you are going to experience in the last couple of weeks of February is, you know, this realization, a kind of slow epiphany, if you will. Maybe you're already there. Excuse me. Maybe you're already there. Maybe you already know this, but maybe now you are ready to actively turn your back on this connection. You know, you see it for what it is. You see that there was a lot of, you know, moonshine and rainbows, but not a lot of substance, and not a lot of reciprocity, not nearly enough filling of your cup, you know. And it's a really hard lesson, because what you've had to do is learn to erect those boundaries, you know, withdraw your energy and start filling your cup for yourself, start healing yourself, you know. And that seems quite unfair at times, because because we do so much for other people, but sometimes we do too much for other people, so that's always worth bearing in mind as well. Tell me more about this Temperance card, please. Yeah, there's a real sense of peace coming off this. I always see that anyway with the Temperance card, but this one particularly is, it looks like it's underwater. You know, this woman is literally submerged with her dog there, you know, under the water. The water's clear and the water is still, you know, whatever. It's not a torrent of emotion. It's not a muddied emotional space anymore. You're seeing really clearly for maybe the first time in a long time, and you are becoming at peace with the situation as it now is, but not because of anything that this other person has done or said. Yeah, but as a result of your understanding of your own needs and in your own emotional space. Like, you've cleared your own emotional space. Queen of Pentacles has just flipped there, and that's about self-care for me. That's about, you know, nurturing yourself very strongly. One more for Temperance, please. I'm going to get one more fucking card if he kills me. Oh my god. It's gone really dark all of a sudden. Just put this little light on. One more for Temperance, please. Drifted out really slowly. Yeah. See, we've got the Queen of Cups and we've got the High Priestess, right? Both water cards. Fucking hell, that one's... Make it a little less harsh. Right? The Queen of Cups is... She's about being emotionally receptive, right? She's about sitting in her emotions and feeling them, but not being drowned by them. And, you know, it's come out to clarify a card where the main character is under the water, right? But she's a fucking mermaid. This has all been a teaching experience, and it's taught you a really valuable lesson. And it could have been possible for you to close down. It might have been possible for you to erect walls instead of boundaries, but you haven't done that, right? You've taken the lesson on board. You've learned it, and you've worked with it in a really positive way. Yeah, and then we've got the High Priestess, which is all about the internal space, you know. And for me, she sits between the end and the beginning, so she kind of occupies that vacuum almost between the end of a cycle and the beginning of a new one. But she's all about what's going on in here. You know, she's all about using her intuition. And she's got great wisdom, you know, real, true wisdom. And this is what you've acquired over the course of this probably fairly harsh life lesson that you've been experiencing. Let's get you some cards of advice, because I realise that this isn't quite as 3D as it could be. It's quite esoteric. Right. With 3 cards of advice for Leo, please. Cards of advice for Leo. Oof. Okay. Wow, that's beautiful. I love all of this. So, at the bottom of the deck, we've got strength. Right. That internal power, like that we gain from struggling all the time. Shut the door, please. From struggling all the time, but always picking ourselves up and carrying on again. You know? Real inner strength. And the 3 cards of advice that you've got are the Hanged Man in reverse, card of Pisces, Death, and Justice, right? And I think this is a really beautiful set of cards. We've got 4 major arcana. This is really important. This was a really important life lesson for you. The Hanged Man talks about being in a suspended state, right? This way up. It talks about, you know, seeking wisdom from seeing the world in a new perspective and all that kind of thing, right? It's a great card. It's a card of Pisces, and we've got, you know, we're literally knocking on the door of Pisces season right now. But it's come up this way. And I think that's really important because it's about coming out of a suspended state. I think we've been sat, you know, while we've been kind of pushing this as you know, how we are to the rest of the world. You know, we've actually been sat in this space internally for a very long time. We're coming out of it now. We're not waiting anymore. It's time to move. It's time to move forwards. And where are we moving to? We're moving to death. The card of Scorpio. We're talking about massive, intense transformation. It's time. It's time to cut all of those cords. It's time to feel on the inside that which we project on the outside. And it's, you know, it's right here. Like, jump to it. And then we've got Justice. You know? Justice for me is, like, as well as being a card of balance, and we'll be talking about balance a lot. You know, we've got the High Priestess, which is a 2. It also talks about balance. There's lots of balance in here. It's a card of karma and natural justice and things like that. And whatever karmic contract you had with this person, you've paid it, right? You've paid off all your debts. It's time. It's time to stop hanging around and transform, right? Taking this on board, doing the right thing for you is what this is. And I think that, you know, it's time. Right? I know a few Leos, and the correlation of experience is really quite incredible. But it's time. It's time now. And I've just realised that at no point have I managed to slip the phrase blowing ducks in here, which is, will go over all of your heads, except like 2 people. So I'll think about it for next time. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there because one of my twins is loitering in the doorway and she requires my attention. So, yeah, take care, Leos. Keep up the good work, and I'll see you in about a week or so for the March monthlies.